For me, it's the first time in my career that we've actually, and this is my 37th year, it's not like I've been around for 5 minutes. It's the first time in my career that we've actually had the money to do the things we know we need to do. It's the first time in my career that we haven't had to put a Band-Aid on here and, plug a hole there. It's the first time in my career we can say, this is what these students need, and we can actually provide that over time.
The big thing about the money coming in from Gonski is that consistency. We know that our school, we know that it takes at least 3 years to affect any change in a school, and anybody knows if they're trying to do anything with, especially with literacy and numeracy, if you haven't got that funding coming through consistently over a considerable period of time, it's not going to happen. And you can't get results in the short term. You need money that can go 3-4 years so that you get consistency in whatever program you're doing, that you can actually, so it actually does have an effect. It helps the teachers and it also helps the students in the classroom.
And we were told to think differently and think outside the square and go beyond what is done before. And that has led nicely into Gonski funding, which allows you to have a greater scope of looking at what the school needs, what students' needs are, and designing programs and projects that suit that make a real difference to student outcomes, not an artificial difference, not a piecemeal difference, not a difference that somebody else has decided that's required, but a real difference to the future of those students.
Lots of people who aren't in education think that we'll put in a little bit of extra money and they'll do a program and something will change. And the truth is that change in education is really slow. If you want to make it stick, it's really slow. And so you've got to persist with your programs.
My big thing is that being a teacher or a principal at a few schools now is that the impact it has on the community. It's not, taking funds or lack of funding and so on like that. It's not just, as I said, in the classroom. It might start to affect the classroom and the school first, but there's just that gradual effect it has on the whole community.
And what I'm finding is because our deliverers of professional learning are on site, they're able to access experts continually. Now, without funding, you can't do that. Without funding, I can't give people time to go and train and become experts. Or if they're already an expert, the funding allows me to give them time to plan and then present to their peers.
We find that the best professional development of teachers has been here at school during the day in the classrooms, not necessarily sending teachers off to different courses in different places.
I don't think any teacher ever has enough professional learning. So we've got a real culture of learning in the school and a very open culture of learning, and that's really important. We're also able to progressively upgrade infrastructure in the school, again, to create those modern learning spaces for students. There's a lot of research around that talks about the relationship between student learning and the space that they're in. And just like we all like to live in a nice house with our things around because it makes us feel like we belong, students are the same. So it's important to have those spaces as you want them.
And we'll build experts up within the school. So at the moment I've got a team of teachers becoming experts in student engagement. They will go to conferences, they will go to workshops, they will have planning days, and they become an expert in that field, and then they share it with their colleagues. And teachers sign up for each term for a different topic. They'll have 5 sessions of sustained professional learning, in which time they get to practice what they've learnt, implement, research, and evaluate, and then the next term they sign up for another topic.
And that's what they're looking for. In all the schools I've been to, they need extra help, outside help, because you can't be an expert in every single area, especially in primary schools. So we're lucky that if you can employ someone who is a specialist in literacy or a specialist in numeracy, or like I said, in speech, those sorts of things, that's the big things that have the biggest impact in the classroom.
And I'd have to say that I think that it's actually been really key in the improvement in our students' outcomes, that explicit leadership development, because that's all about voice and agency. And when you give people voice and agency, all aspects of what they do tends to come together under those things. So, when I talk about our results, I'm talking about the culmination over that period of time. And that's why I think I can claim the results are directly related to the improvements in teachers' teaching and learning practice, improvements in the tools that they have, but also building that resilience, agency and voice of students all come together to provide us with these exceptional improvements.
One of the things that we've done that's made a significant difference is we now employ a speech therapist 2 days a week to work with students on language acquisition and language ability all the way through from Year 7 through to Year 12. That has had an amazing impact on not only the students' ability to be able to understand text and communicate in their classrooms, but their ability to be able to do examinations, their ability to be able to relate with peers, their ability to be able to understand what the teacher really wants from them.
When we first started, obviously we're not speech therapists and trained in that area. We thought that we might have 10 or something like that, but in a school of 520, we've identified about 30 children that actually need help in this area. So without that funding coming through from Gonski money, obviously, and equity money and things like that, we wouldn't be able to employ speech therapists because they're very expensive, as you can imagine, over $600 and something a day.
So our school library is now open 5 days a week to 5 p.m. with teacher support and tutoring available for any student in the school. And it's well serviced by the students. Coming up to HSE time, it's probably oversubscribed because students are after those last minute hints. And we employ anything up to 10 tutors through the library to make sure our students have access to what any other child would have access to. Year 5 and 6 Gonski is a really interesting question because we've started on a trajectory that's going amazing places. And I know there's outcomes coming. I know that our school is getting student outcomes in real terms.
Into the future, as that Gonski money builds and we more and more level the playing field, those kids from that low SES school will be able to show what they actually can do. Like we're not there yet. We've had a bit of an experimentation. We've built some things that we know, some programs, some approaches that we know are producing results. And as that money becomes available and we're able to do more of those things, then I believe we will start to see students, our low SES students, really achieving what they ought to be. That's what this resourcing can do. Because it's not just about the high flyers. My view of the world is you look after your weakest, and the other will work. And so there's lots of things to be proud of, and the funding, not having to do that scrimping and saving. Being smart, but having enough money to be really smart. It's great.